Once again, welcome to LinkedIn Profile and Network. Today's class will be hosted by myself. My name is Jamie Eastman. I'm one of the librarians here at the Plano Public Library. And then joining me, I also have my colleague Meredith, who will be available to help via the chat for any questions or tech support needs that you may have. As we're letting everyone get settled into class this afternoon, I am going to go ahead and go over a few ground rules that we've set up for today's program, just to make sure everyone is comfortable. So during today's program, you will be muted and we do have your video blocked. So you should only be hearing myself or Meredith, and you should see the same thing on your screen that I'm showing on my screen, which right now is that blue Plano Public Library background. At the top of your screen, you can find an exit full screen option if you do need to get to other things on your computer, such as pulling up your own LinkedIn profile to follow along during the class. You are welcome to ask questions or request that I repeat information at any time during today's program. You should see an icon at the bottom of your screen that says chat. You can go ahead and click on that to open up the chat window. That chat is set to be seen by library staff only. And please note that any inappropriate comment will cause your immediate removal from the class. If you prefer, you can also make use of that Q&A feature as well. And if you do have questions during today's program, just a note, we may answer you directly in the chat. We may hold it until a break, or Meredith may interrupt me while teaching just to make sure that we get to that information when it is timely. And as always with our virtual programs, a recording will be available in a few days. So if you'd like to watch today's class and then practice along with the recording later, that is an option for you as well. Now, I do encourage you to follow along with your own LinkedIn account throughout today's program, just so you can see what things look like. But please keep in mind, it can be challenging for us to give that one-on-one assistance or troubleshoot things with your profile while we're in a virtual format. I will try and take everything slow, just in case you are practicing along with me, though. Now, that we have all of that out of the way, we're going to go ahead and move over to the LinkedIn login page. And you can get to that just by going to www.linkedin.com. As we do get started today, I'm just going to give you a quick reminder. I am a librarian and not a business expert, so everything that I'm sharing with you today is just tips and best practices to help you connect with information and an overview. I can also help connect you with additional resources that may be helpful in your job search as well, but I cannot provide that individual one-on-one career support. Our goal today is just to get to know the basic features of LinkedIn so that you're more comfortable with the platform. So we're going to learn a little bit about how to set up our profile and add some of the most common profile information, explore how to navigate and how to access different features. And we will touch briefly on connecting with other users and building your network of professional connections as well. So, what is LinkedIn? It's a professional social networking site used to stay in touch with your colleagues and professional acquaintances. You will see that most people use LinkedIn to stay in touch with business connections, to expand their professional network, and to explore new career opportunities. You may also notice, depending on who's in your network or what you're using it for, some people do tend to use LinkedIn more as a social format and share more informally. So it really will depend on the goals that you have for your profile. However, I'm going to focus mostly on that professional aspect, building your network and career opportunities today. If you manage your profile well, it gives you a lot of opportunities to expand your professional reach and build your brand through that thoughtful content creation. Now, LinkedIn is an option for you to explore new or existing career opportunities, but do keep in mind it does not cover all types of careers. Generally, most of the people that you're going to see on LinkedIn will have some sort of professional degree or certification, and a lot of the positions that you see posted are going to be salaried positions. You won't see as many hourly opportunities And you won't see as much related to things like food service, construction, or temp work, although exceptions do exist. LinkedIn is also an opportunity for you to host your online resume or portfolio of work because you can include details of your work history, links to projects and work samples, and even feature content on your profile. And this is a way that you can share some of the unique services that you offer. You can create pages for your company or just showcase more of yourself as a professional than you can do with a traditional paper-based resume. So, to be able to use LinkedIn, you are going to have to set up an account. You can set up that account completely free, which will give you access to many features, including building that profile, posting documents, building your network, giving and receiving recommendations, interacting with groups, companies, and other users, and even applying for jobs. There are additional features available to you with a paid premium account, but I'm not going to dive into those with class today. If you are a brand new LinkedIn user, towards the top right corner of your screen, you should see a button that says Join Now. If I were to click on that, it's going to open up the profile creation wizard where I'm going to put in an email, a password, and it's going to walk me through the steps to create that profile. However, for the sake of time today, I'm going to go ahead and go back and I'm just going to sign in using my own profile instead. Go ahead and get signed back in there. Beautiful. And everyone's homepage is going to look the same in terms of functionality, but it may look a little bit different for you in terms of the specific content that you're seeing because of who you've connected with, the type of industries you're following, or even how long that you've been on LinkedIn. So, for example, at the top of my profile right now, I've got this lovely pop up inviting me to try premium. I can just X that out, get it out of the way, and it's going to look more like a traditional profile at that point. When you sign into LinkedIn, you're automatically directed to what is called your homepage and activity feed. And if you are a social media user, this is going to feel very familiar to you. It's going to look very similar to a lot of social media platforms with your newsfeed, your content, able to see what is happening within your network. Across the top is where we're going to do a lot of our navigation and what's known as the menu bar. And I'm just going to work through this from left to right. So we're going to start over here in the left corner. You've got that little magnifying glass icon and a search box. That's going to be a very simple way for you to search. You can search content like people by names. You can search company names. You can search job names, or you can do searching based on keywords to see if there are posts related to different things that you're interested in. Moving over from that, you've got a little icon that looks like a house, and that is your home button. Anytime you click on that little house, it's going to take you right back here to this page. You may notice periodically while you're on LinkedIn, sometimes a little circle appears over the house. All that means is that new content has come into your newsfeed since the last time that you were on your home page. Right next to that, you see a little icon that kind of looks like two people, two little stick people. That says My Network underneath it. And that's going to be where you search for new connections or manage the connections that you already have. That's where you're all about finding other users, building that network. After that, we have a little icon that looks like a briefcase. That's going to be our jobs icon. That's where we're going to search for jobs, view applications, manage any job alerts that we have set up. I'm not going to get into that very much in today's class. We do offer a separate program specific to job searching that goes into that in more detail. After that, you've got a little conversation bubble. That's going to be your messaging icon. That's going to let you view and compose messages and contact other LinkedIn users. It's basically an instant email messaging kind of setup within LinkedIn. You may also see at the bottom of your screen, and you can kind of see down here in the bottom right corner of mine, there's a little window that says messaging that will often pop up. It's going to take you to the exact same thing. Then we have the little icon that looks like a bell. That's your notifications button. That's where you can go to see recent updates and information from your network. It may also pop in content that LinkedIn recommends as of interest to you. And then finally, you should see a little circle that's either going to have just a generic profile of a person, or it's going to have your picture if you have set up a profile image. And that's going to be the link directly to your profile. It is also where you're going to link to your settings and privacy information. Now, the majority of this page then is going to be your news feed. And this is where you can share articles and information and updates with your professional network. Now, remember, like we talked about earlier, LinkedIn is a professional site. So we're thinking about posting things like new skills, jobs, professional development opportunities, or projects that you're working on. Other LinkedIn users can then respond to, comment on, or even share the posts that you create. So in your newsfeed, you're going to see the content from other users in your network, and then you can comment on, share, respond to that content as well. So I'm just going to scroll down this page just a little bit to give you an idea of what it looks like. So for each item, I'm going to see who posted it, whatever information they're sharing, and as we scroll down a little bit further, we see the opportunities to interact with that content. So again, much like social media, I have the option to respond by liking, by celebrating, by loving the information that's being shared. I have the opportunity to comment, or I have that opportunity to repost as well. As you're thinking about how you're going to share content on LinkedIn, think about things that you find interesting and that align with your personal brand, your goals, and your ideals. This is the very first way that you're building your brand on LinkedIn because these are the things that people are going to see associated with you. As we keep scrolling down, again, you're going to see that I have a person, I have their title, I have their content. So everything that I'm posting on LinkedIn is going to be associated with me, which means I want to be intentional about what I'm sharing and what resonates with me. I also want to think about ways to add value for other LinkedIn users. So part of building your brand is thinking about what you can share that will add value to your colleagues. What is unique? What establishes your point of view? What lets you have a thoughtful conversation? What helps you set yourself apart as a leader in whatever industry that you're part of? So in addition to going through and just sharing content from others, I can share or comment on anything that I'm seeing in my newsfeed. If I go all the way back up to that top of the page, I have the opportunity to create my own content as well. It's just that button there that says start a post. And when I click in that, it's going to bring up the post window. It's going to let me fill in information. I can add images, I can add videos, and that's how I'm going to share with my network. Again, that's not something we're going to spend a lot of time on today because we're really going to focus more on the profile. So I'm going to go ahead and close out of that. And we're going to move into more specifics on our profile. So we've got two different ways to get to that main profile screen. Like we talked about earlier, I can go up here to the menu bar and use the little picture of me, or I can go over to the left-hand side of my screen and you should see a little profile preview. If you have a profile picture, you're going to see the picture of yourself. If you've got a cover image, you're going to see a little preview of that. And you're going to see just the basic information that you are sharing with others. This is also a very quick way for me to be able to see who has looked at my profile. I can see that 14 people have looked at my profile, 2 people have looked at my most recent post. If you have pages, you'll also see statistics for those on that left-hand side as well. Now, if I click on my lovely little picture of myself, that's how I'm going to go ahead and open up my profile page. And this is the page on LinkedIn that is specific to me. This is essentially your online resume. It's what people are going to see when they're interacting with you. The more information you include, the easier you're going to be to find on LinkedIn. Remember, LinkedIn is working off of an algorithm, so it's going to mine through everything that you post, every job title that you have, every project description, every post that you're sharing. That's all content that LinkedIn can search through for others to be able to find you. So even if they don't know my name specifically, people can use keywords like librarian and city of Plano and potentially connect with my profile. So we're just going to work through this profile basically from the top down to show you some different options that you have. The first things that you have are what is called your intro section. And this is your option to make everything as personal as possible. So you've got your option here to include a profile image. I highly recommend that you include a profile image. It helps you stand out from every other generic user by having something that represents you. As you're selecting a photo, keep in mind you want something that is recent. You want it to actually look like you. What you don't want is somebody to come to your profile, pull up a picture of you, they invite you to an interview, you go into that interview and you look completely different. Your high school graduate photo is on there, but you're 50 plus now, well into your career. It gives a mismatch right from the start. You also want to make sure that your face is 60% or more of the picture. You want to stand out. This is not the place that we're going to put in our favorite picture of us on vacation with a great background. Yes, beautiful picture. Not what we're trying to do to stand out as a professional. We're looking for ways that highlight who we are as a professional and build our brand. If you choose to include a cover image, your background image, again, you want something that's going to be professional and helps contribute to your brand. There are some options to use some pre-designed ones from LinkedIn. You should see in the right corner a little pencil icon that will let you edit your cover image. You can make adjustments. If you don't like any of the options that LinkedIn has put together as those defaults, you can always use something like Canva to use a template to design your own. But again, think about what's going to be a professional image that represents maybe your industry, the projects, your careers. You can use it to include some basic information, like you have a visual of your website included on there if you wanted people to be able to see your website at a glance looking at your profile, things like that. This is also where we're going to put the information that people see when they look at us up front. So when I click on this pencil icon, I'm going to have the option to choose how my first and last name display, if there's any additional names that I need. You can add name pronunciation if you're going through the app. You can choose to add your pronouns if you would like those included as part of your profile, and you can choose what your headline looks like. Now, a lot of people will choose to have a headline that just reflects their current job title. However, you can also use this as an opportunity to share a little bit more about yourself by adding in some keywords. Instead of saying that I'm a public services librarian at the city of Plano, I could say public services librarian, innovator, and early childhood educator if I wanted to include multiple elements of my professional self in one. This is just what's going to show up underneath your name as who you are. This is also where you're going to be able to link your current position and choose whether or not to show your current company as part of your intro. You'll also be able to select your industry, which is all about helping connect you to others who are relevant to you, help you connect to potential job opportunities that match what you're interested in. You can include your education information, and you can include your location information. So this can be, you can choose to put in a postal code if you would like. More important than that, you have the option to select a city. And you'll notice on my profile that I've got mine set for the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. If you live in a large urban area made up of multiple cities, choosing the Metroplex that represents where you're at can help you better reach job opportunities in that area. So if I were to only select Plano, I would be more likely to get content that just says Plano, Plano, Plano. But if I'm open to, say, living in Plano, but working in McKinney or working in Allen or working in Richardson, by selecting that Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, I'm essentially expanding the space that I'm working in to be able to have a bigger reach and more potential connections. You also have the opportunity here to edit your contact information or what people have access to be able to contact you as well. Anytime that you make changes on LinkedIn, if you don't want to save them, just hit the X in the top right corner. If you have made changes that you do want to save, look towards the bottom right corner. You should see a blue save icon. Click on that to immediately save and apply any changes that you've made. Underneath that intro section is also where we have additional options to very quickly add profile sections, look at LinkedIn's options to enhance my profile, or access other resources. If you are actively looking for work, this blue open to icon on the left-hand side is where you're going to find that option. And when I click on that, you'll see that I have the opportunity to say I'm open to finding a new job. That's where you get that open to work added to your profile. If you're hiring, you can share that you're hiring. If you're providing services, you can show that to other users as well. Those are just little enhancements that you can add to your profile to help become more visible. Now, immediately underneath that, if we keep scrolling down, we see a lovely little box that says suggested for you. And this is something that only you will see on LinkedIn. No one looking at your profile is ever going to see this information. This is what LinkedIn will suggest to you as options to enhance your profile. Depending on how established you are on LinkedIn, this may say something like add an education section, add a current position, try this. It may recommend that you try premium. It's just selections based on your profile of things that may help build that profile visibility. And then immediately underneath that, scroll down a little bit more, we get into our analytics. And again, you'll see there's this nice little eyeball icon and it says private to you. This is another element of LinkedIn that only you are going to see. This is going to let you see how many people have viewed your profile, who's engaging with your content, how often you are showing up in search appearances. You can choose to click on that Show All Analytics to get some additional information about this, but this is a really great way to look at your profile at a glance and see, am I getting noticed by people? Because if I'm actively searching for a job, I want to make sure that my name is out there. I want to make sure that it's visible. And if I'm not showing up in search appearances, if I'm not showing up in profile views, that's a good indication that something about that profile is not working and it's not getting me the results that I want. As we keep on scrolling down, then we get into our About section. And you can think of this as basically what would have been a summary or an objective statement on your printed resume, just a little bit longer. And again, just like before, in the right-hand corner, I'm going to see that pencil icon, and that's going to let me edit that information. LinkedIn provides you with a little bit of information about what people might put in this section, but you've got 2,600 characters that you can use to put in whatever you'd like to share about yourself. As you scroll down underneath that, you can also add up to 5 skills that you want associated with your profile. So these are the things that you want people to know that you're really good at. Think about the keywords that really stand out in your industry, the things that may show up often in job postings, the things that are going to stand out in your job descriptions that you're putting in your work experience. Those are the things you want to see reflected in your skills. You can add them in here by just clicking on the Add Skill button, and you can rearrange them by using that little 3 lines to drag and drop and move things around to whatever order you would like those skills to show up in. LinkedIn will also, as you put more content into your profile, suggest additional skills that you may want to put onto your profile based on what it's skimming and seeing. Again, we've got that blue save button in the bottom right corner, saves any changes that we've made, and then you should see a lovely little box that says it was successful That just lets you know everything that you're working on has gone through successfully. And then immediately underneath that, we've got our featured content and our activity. Our featured content is a place where we can showcase projects, posts, information that we're really excited about that we want people to be aware of, the things that really stand out to us. And it's very easy to pull from what's already on your profile to feature content that way, but it's not something that you're required to have on your profile by any means. And then underneath that is going to be your activity. You can very quickly see how many people are following your content. You can easily create a post from here, but you'll also see the things that you have recently posted and a little bit of a preview of how well they're doing. So you can see, okay, we've got a post here. This is what I've shared. I have an idea of the engagement that I'm getting with it. And I can scroll through that to see additional content that I have shared and how people are engaging with it. This is a really easy way for you to look back at your content and see what's resonating or what's not with my network as I am working on building that presence and that online brand. And I'm going to pause here just for a second before we get into the rest of our core profile sections, just to see if we have any questions before we move on.
None in the chat right now.
All right. So we've talked a little bit about who we are, what our brand is. Now we're going to get into the actual meat of our profile, the things that we want people to know about it. And again, we're talking about our professional experience, so it makes sense the next thing you're going to see on your profile is your experience. And this is going to be any current, past job that you would like to showcase. These are always going to show up on your profile with the most recent position showing first based on the date that you have put in. Within each of those entries, you can include a job title, your type of employment, the company, the location, dates, and a description of the work that you did. You can also choose to link or upload media like work samples. And throughout this, you'll have the opportunity to either edit something that's already there, that pencil icon that we're familiar with, or you also have a lovely plus sign icon next to that. That is our icon anytime we want to add something new in. So I'm going to go ahead and just hit the plus sign so that you can see what it looks like. It's going to give me two options. I can add a position or I can add a career break. So if you do have something on your resume that you need to address, hey, there's a span of time where I was not working, that career break is an easy way to just slot that in, account for that time, and have it easily visible. But we're going to go to add position, and it's going to pop up this lovely little wizard for me. Now, most things that you post on LinkedIn, you will have the option whether or not to push an update to your network automatically or not. And you can choose that by just selecting this toggle on or off if you want people to be notified. A few things are going to be required, like the job title and the company or organization. And it is going to require that you put in the start date and end date. If I uncheck the I am currently working, it's going to add that end date in for me. The other information, like the location or the location type, for example, was it hybrid or remote work? You're not required to put that in, but you can. You're not required to put in a description of the work that you did. But again, that's all content that's going to help people find you on LinkedIn. So the more you put in, the more helpful that that's going to be. You can also add skills or media specific to that position. Once you've got everything in, you're going to click on save. That's going to add in that information to your profile, and it will drop it in whatever order on your profile. Now, a couple of questions that I often get asked with your experience. How do I get the lovely little logo to show up? That's going to be something that happens automatically if the company that you are working with has a LinkedIn presence. So when I start typing and I add a position. When I do company or organization, if I start typing Microsoft, you see that Microsoft pulls up for me. I'm just linking to them. That's where those little icons are coming from. You will also see, as long as you put in the same organization, positions within the organization are going to nest within each other. So within my tenure with the city of Plano, I've technically had two different levels of librarian experience, the starting public services librarian and then the senior public services librarian. Each one is listed as a separate position with the time in the position, but you'll see at the top under City of Plano, it gives me credit for the entirety of my time served with Plano. So it's a really great way to just bring all of that information together in one spot. I'm going to go ahead and edit one of these just so you can see what it looks like when we're working on an individual experience entry. So here you can see that I have put in different information about what I've done. I also have linked in some skills, and I have a link for some content as well. But if something has changed in your position and you want to update that, that little pencil icon will load all of the information that you already have and make it really easy for you to make that content show up, add more skills, add more media, or if you need to, you can delete the experience off of your profile altogether as well. Now, once I have done all the editing that I want to, I can use that little arrow next to experience just to go back to my profile, and I can keep going on down the profile. Now, the thing with LinkedIn, unlike a paper-based resume, you can put as much content on here as you want to. So if you want to include every position you've had for the last 40 years, you've got space to do it because you're not printing this off. This is just more content that lets everyone see the experience that you've had. So you can put more details than maybe you put in your paper resume. You can highlight more projects, more specific roles because you're not limited by space in the same way. Once we've gotten through our experience, scroll down through that, then we get into our education. And this is going to be where you put in any information about degrees that you have or that you are working on. These entries can appear in any order, but only one of them can show up as a featured entry in your introduction section. When I add an entry in there, again, I'm going to use that plus sign, and it's going to ask me for the name of the school. That's the only thing that's required. But I can put in the degree that I'm working on. I can put in the field of study. I can put in the date range. I can put in information about grades, activities. I can also use this to include any description if it is useful to have context about the degree that you're working on. And if there is something about your education that is helpful with a work sample, you can add in media, you can add in skills. This can be really helpful if you have recently finished a degree. Say, I'm in library school. I've recently finished my degree and I want to be able to showcase those librarian skills, but I don't have the work experience for it yet. I can use the media here to share school projects or resources to be able to showcase some of those skills and abilities as I build in the professional experience to go along with it. So with mine, you can see that I've used that description to be able to put in some additional information about certificates that I did as part of my degree, just to give a little more context to the degrees that I have. Underneath that, you will also have the option to include things like licenses and certifications. So if you're in a position that maybe does not require a specific degree, but it does require a specific license, you can go ahead and put that on your profile. Again, that plus sign is going to let us add in the information. We can put in the name, who is issuing that certification. We can put any dates associated with it. If it is something that has a credential ID or has a URL that we can link to verify that that certificate is still valid, we can put that in as well. And again, we can link skills or add media associated with that as well. You will also have the opportunity as you build out your profile to add in some additional sections so you can make use of things like the projects section to include information about specific projects that you have worked on or that you are working on. This is a great way to showcase different work when I use the plus sign on there. This is a very, very simple thing to add into your profile because it's just going to ask for a name, a description, and then again, skills and media if you want to link them. You can share if you're currently working on it. You can also share if you are working on it with others. So if you know people who are on LinkedIn and you collaborate with them and they're part of the work that you're doing, when you add them as contributors, that's helping push this information out to their network as well as your network. The other thing about projects is you've got this little associated with box. When I click on that, I'm going to see every job and every education option to be able to link this to. So I can say this is something that I did as a librarian, which is going to link it back up to my profile. And so you see with this one, I've got it associated with the city of Plano, so people can see it's something that I did during my tenure there. They know where that work has been done and what it's associated with. And you can use this for all kinds of things. You can use it for training programs you've developed. You can use it for major initiatives that you've been part of. You can use it for presentations that you've given. Really anything that highlights who you are and what you do. Beyond that, you'll also have the opportunity to include volunteer information. And again, volunteer information is something that can be helpful. It's not required. The choice of whether or not to put this on your profile is really going to come down to, does this information add to who I am as a professional? Does this information showcase skills or interests or values that I have? If the answer to that is yes, then go ahead and put it on your profile. If it is something that you do purely just for your own interest, it's something you're excited about, there's nothing wrong with having that volunteer experience, but it may not belong on your professional profile because it's not contributing to that professional brand. And then underneath that, we start getting into our skills. Think of skills as the cool keywords that we want people to know about us. If I were to ask you, tell me what you do in 5 words or less, these are the things that are going to come to mind immediately. These are the things that say, I'm good at my job. These are the things that if you're hiring, you want people to be able to say that they have. You will see that these are grouped a little bit to be able to see where I've associated them. So remember when we were going through and we had add skills. This is where that starts to tie together because I added that skill to different companies. It's establishing that pattern of a skill. So if you say, you know what, I'm an expert at Microsoft Office, I want to see that show up multiple times on your profile. I want to see that show up multiple times with projects that you're part of or positions that you've had. Because when I go down to look at your skills, it all ties in together. Adding our skills in is super simple. We've got that plus sign, and you're just going to start searching. And you can search for keywords. As I start typing, it's going to give me different options. I'm going to select the skill that I want to put, and I'm going to add it onto my profile. Again, LinkedIn's very helpful. They're going to pop up some suggestions based on my profile as well. If those stand out to you, you can just click on any of those to add them into your profile. If I've decided I don't want to have a skill in my profile anymore, it's no longer valid to what I'm looking for, I can use that edit button, that little pencil. I can go into any of these and edit them some more because I can take out, I didn't do that, or, oh yes, I actually did do that at this position. Let me go ahead and check it. I can associate it with all of these different things that I have on my profile, or I can delete that skill and say it's no longer something that I want to focus on. Then moving on down our profile, underneath that, we also have space for recommendations. This is something that some users have and some users do not. Again, no harm, no foul either way. If you have someone who does want to share something about you, it's an easy way for them to say, yes, I know this person. They're really good at this. This is how I know them. It's also something that helps you connect to others. However, you have full control over whether or not that content shows up on your profile. I can go into edit at any point and I can turn a recommendation that I've been given on or off at any time. So if I've decided, you know what, this recommendation is 10 years old, it's no longer relevant, I can turn it off and not have it show on my profile. You will also have the opportunity to see what recommendations that you have given to others as well. And then we've got all kinds of other profile sections. Again, these may or may not apply to you. LinkedIn is all about customizing to what showcases you as a professional. If you have publications, you can put them. If you don't need that section on your profile. If you are a student or have been a student, you can use courses to show information about the degree that you're working on and the type of content that you've studied. If you have honors or awards associated with any of your past or current positions or the work that you've done as a student, you can put that onto your profile. If you are part of professional organizations, you can put content about that onto your profile to show this is what I'm doing, who I'm associated with. And you can also show things that are of interest to you because you're going to find and follow different people. And as that comes in, then you're going to start seeing companies that you've followed, groups that you're a part of, schools, newsletters, anything that you are following. These are all things that people are able to see at a glance about you to know about your interests. Now, are there any questions about those profile sections before we do a brief dive into networking?
So far, no questions in the chat.
All right. So we've spent a lot of time talking about what our profile looks like. Once you've got the profile, the next step is to build that professional network because the more people you connect with, the more visible you become. And LinkedIn is all about making sure that you are visible and that you are seen as a leader in whatever industry that you are part of. So I'm just going to go back up to the top of my screen. I'm going to click on those two little people on the My Network icon. And that is going to bring me to my network page. So my LinkedIn contacts are basically a digital address book. On the left-hand side of the screen, I can see some basic information. I can see how many connections that I have. I can see following and followers. I can see groups that I'm part of, pages, newsletters, all of that in one spot that's easy for me to manage any of that. If I happen to have any pending invitations, right up here at the top, where I have a box that says no pending invitations, if somebody wanted to connect with me, it would be popped up there waiting for me. And I can make a decision on whether or not I would like to connect with that person. Now, when I click on connections on the left-hand side, that is going to pop up my entire list of connections. I can sort this by how recently I added them. I can sort them by first name or last name, or I can search for them if I'm looking for a specific person that I need to connect with. But it's very easy for me to go in there if I needed to send a message to someone and message them, or I have the option to remove them as a connection as well. If I wanted to access their information, just like clicking on my profile picture on the left-hand side when I'm on my homepage gets to my profile, clicking on any one of these pictures is going to pop me right over to that user's profile as well. I could just click on that, pop over, I can see this person I can easily message them, connect with them as needed. Now, I can add people into my network a couple of different ways. The most common is going to be by searching for a name in the search box or by importing my email contacts. So if I know that I work with someone, let's do, I can start typing up, see different names. It's going to start giving me different people, and I can look and see, is this the person that I'm looking for? Am I connected with, here's a person, do I know them? Am I connected with them? If I'm not connected with them, it's going to give me this blue button here that says connect. That's going to be my opportunity to connect with them. Now, if I am super far removed from them, when I start searching, I may not see a connect button immediately. And what you're seeing when I'm searching is you're going to see first, second, and third degree connections. And this is basically how well do you know someone on LinkedIn? If you're my first degree connection, I know you, you know me, we have agreed that we're connections. These are the people that we've said, yes, connect to. If we're second degree connections, I know someone that you know. So we have someone in common. So I could be, if I know Meredith and you know Meredith, she would pop up as a degree of connection to us. I would pop up when you were looking because I'm connected to her. You would pop up for me when I'm searching because you're connected to her. Those are the second degree connections. When we get to third plus degree connections, these are people that I don't really have anything in common with. We may be stretching it. It may be geographic location, it may be our industry, but I'm much less likely to know them because we don't have anything in common. And instead of seeing connect when I get into that, you see things like message and follow. And that's because I don't know and I don't have anything in common with them. So I need to do a little bit of an introduction. So I'm going to have the opportunity to message them and say, hey, I'd like to connect with you. This is who I am. This is why I'd like to get to know you. That way they have an idea of why I'm asking to connect with them, and they're more likely to say yes. If you are sending a personal request to connect, keep in mind you want to send them some kind of greeting or introduction. You want to let them know of any existing relationship if there is one, and if not, provide some context about who you are and why you'd like to connect. So if I've recommended that Meredith get to know my friend Bob, she might reach out and say, hi, I'm a colleague of Jamie's. She recommended that I connect with you to learn more about basket weaving. And now Bob has an idea of why the two of us are wanting to connect. LinkedIn is also going to recommend people for you to connect with based on all of that information you've put into your profile, everything that you've put in about your industry, the current position you have, your geographic location. And that's going to pop up underneath, under people you may know. And you're going to see all these lovely options pull up, and they're going to pop up with very lovely connect buttons underneath them. So I can take a look and see, hey, do I know this person? Oh, I do know 19 people who are connected with this person. I probably do know them. If I see that it's someone that I want to connect with, I can just hit connect, and then it'll show as a pending invitation. Now, the nice thing about LinkedIn is you always have the option to ignore an invitation from someone. You can do this if you don't know them, or if for some reason you do not want to connect with them. Don't worry about doing this. The other person will never get a message that you've ignored them or chosen not to connect with them. There's not going to be a great email going out saying, hey, your invitation was ignored. It just won't show up as a connection in their network, and it will move from pending if you were to go back and look, and it would say connect again. You can also choose to reply to someone without connecting if you'd like to get more information about that person before you connect with them. You can use that messaging option and send them a message and say, sorry, why are you interested in connecting? What information do we have in common? How can I help you? And then make a decision from there. You also have the opportunity to join what are known as groups on LinkedIn. Some groups are going to be open to everyone, and some require certain criteria or qualifications to join. For example, an alumni group is probably going to require that you attended the school in question. A group is a way for you to find a lot of individuals with shared interests. So they're places where professionals in the same industry or with similar interests can connect and share together. So when I go into my groups, for example, I'm part of the Texas Library Association. When I go into that group, I can see all of the information about that group. And this is a space where I know I'm connecting with other librarians in Texas, library information. I'm going to see content more specific to that particular part of my professional life. And just like your newsfeed on your homepage, within a group homepage, you can see the content, you can scroll through, you can see who members are, you can comment, you can respond on different content in there. This can be a good way to find people that you may know that you'd like to connect with individually because you have those things in common already. So it's another way to search. When I'm searching, I can search it within a group or I can search all of LinkedIn. So when I am searching, if I pull up, say, library, if I do all results on library, I'm going to see things like jobs that have library. I'm going to see things like posts that have library so that I see more of that comment and groups may pull up as well. I can search using these options up at the top. I can do groups to get just two groups that have library in the title, see the information about the group. If I'm part of the group, I'm going to see the option to view their posts and content. If not, I'm going to see the opportunity to join. Now, the last thing that I do want to touch on really briefly today is the opportunity for messaging. And messaging on LinkedIn is going to work just like a lot of email programs or apps like Facebook, as far as sending messages to other users. When I click on the messaging window, I'm going to see basically my inbox and I'm going to see the information. You will periodically get sponsored messages or ads that you can choose to interact with or not, but you can see how different people may choose to connect with you. For example, this is someone who reached out to me after applying for a position within the city of Plano. I can choose to respond. Just like an email program, I have the option to include images, to attach files, and we're going to send information back and forth that way. You will also have the option, let me go back to my homepage, like we talked about earlier, that little box down in the right-hand corner is going to pop up my message preview. I can search very quickly, see messages, click on any of them, and pop in and reply to them there as well. Now, this class today was just a brief overview into different things that you can do with your profile. There's a lot more that you can do with your profile as you start to customize it. There's a lot of ways that you can focus on content creation, on building your brand, on continuing to customize, setting up different security features, doing things like adding a custom profile URL. These are all additional features that will help make your profile unique, help it stand out and help you really be the type of professional that you want to advertise yourself as. Most of those things will be accessed by going into your settings and privacy. I'm going to pull that up just very, very briefly, where you'll have the opportunity to look at how you're sharing things like personal demographic information, your language preferences, but also you'll have your options for things like visibility and data privacy. So I can go in at any time and say, I would like to have LinkedIn show more or less of my information. I can choose things like who can see my email address, who can see my connections, who can even see my last name. If you'd prefer just to have a last initial, that is an option for you. There's a lot that you can do to customize how your activity is seen, how your activity is used. So as you build your profile, do spend some time thinking about what you would like that to look like. Now, as we are concluding today's class today, I do want to let you know of one additional option available to you through Plano Public Library because we've covered a lot of information. It's a lot to remember. If you get to the end of today's program, think on it for a little bit and realize, you know what? Hey, I have some questions and I'd like some additional help. If you pop over to the Plano Public Library website, which if you haven't been on recently, has had a facelift, you will have the opportunity to access some additional information and resources. And this is on our homepage. When we scroll down just a little bit to get to these blue circles, you're going to see one with a question mark in it. This is our recently redesigned Ask PPL service, and this is a way for you to connect with library staff for additional questions or support. When you click on this, it is going to open up a separate window, and this is where you can request one-on-one help from library staff tailored to your needs and schedule. This is a service that we offer for our library card holders, but you can request help in person or online. If you're looking for additional support with LinkedIn today, it's going to fall under that job and career, but you'll see we also have additional support. We can help with basic technology, managing your library account, or other questions you might have. But once I click on that form, give it just a second to load, it will give you the opportunity to put in your name and information. It'll let you say if you have a preferred language, preferred contact information, your preferred location, and then you can let us know a little bit more about what you need help with. So you can say, hey, I have some questions about my LinkedIn profile and I'd like someone to help me out. Or even, I'm working on my LinkedIn profile and I'm not sure what the steps are to customize that profile image. Can you help me out? Pop that information in there, submit to us. That's going to go to our team of library staff and someone will be able to get back with you and either provide that one-on-one help or set up that individual appointment with you to go over your specific concerns or questions. Now, that does bring us to the end of our content for today. So I will take just a moment to thank you all so much for joining us this afternoon and see if there are any last minute questions before we wrap up.
None at this time.
In that case, once again, thank you so much for joining us for our LinkedIn profile and network class this afternoon. You can find more resources and programs on our website, planolibrary.org, or by coming into any of our 5 library locations. Thank you so much for your time and enjoy the rest of your afternoon.